Hello, everybody. Welcome to Effortless, the show where everything's made up and the show doesn't matter. I'm Spiegel, and that's Piddle.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody. This is a special Halloween episode of Effortless. Boo! Did we scare you?
I'm scared.
That's it. Okay.
What's the
So we did
twist
our.
at the end of this episode?
There is no twist. That's too much effort.
Oh man.
This is effortless. So we are actually honestly we're kind of loaded today. Halo comes out tonight. Piddle, are you ready? That we're actually recording this super late,
Ooh.
but Halo is coming out tonight.
Yeah, we're
Are you
several days
excited?
late on recording, and we're recording later in the day, which we usually don't do. So this is a different kind of day.
Yeah, I didn't take my nap, so I'm pretty tired, but
S-
we're gonna push through it and answer my question. Are you excited for Halo?
No.
Wow, why not?
Like, I'm a huge Halo fan, and
Yes, you are a big
which
Halo
which
fan.
is actually sort of interesting because I didn't even buy an Xbox 360. I had to wait until the Master Chief Collection to actually get back into the series. But I've read some of the expanded universe stuff, um, and I find it. I don't know. I find the universe very fascinating, and I feel like they've built it up well. Even if in some games like Halo 4 they did a terrible job with like presenting the story, because even myself, who had read some of the books and done some of the outside content, I was completely lost halfway through the through the fourth game. But with Halo 5, I would be excited, but I'm just, how it is. It's a modern game, and the Master
And
Chief Collection.
there's a 9 gigabyte day one patch, which doesn't make any sense to me because they said the game had gone gold. Why is there a 9 gigabyte patch on day one?
Exactly.
It takes 48 gigs of memory. You can't do it in 48 gigs. Holy crap!
It,
I'm getting tired of this stuff. And
exactly.
that's nothing on the game itself. I'm sick of the fact that you look at a console that has 500 gigabytes of memory and you're like, oh yeah, that's not going to be enough. No way in hell is that going to be enough.
It's ridiculous. Like, I've already had to delete games, and I don't really
You should have
have.
to delete games. That's absurd. I've had my Wii U for 3 years and I'm only just running out
Do
of
you know how
space.
many
And it has
games I
32
actually have?
gigabytes.
I have like Rare Replay and Shadows of Mordor, Arkham Knight, the Master Chief Collection, and then like the two Assassin's Creed games and Sunset
Yeah, what the hell is
Overdrive.
taking up so much space? This is
I like
ridiculous.
don't even have 10 games, and my hard drive's maxed out with, like, I guess with the games with gold stuff, but like I don't really have many games with gold stuff installed on my Xbox One. All I have is really Tomb Raider, that's taken up a lot of space. So I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. And this is sort of why I wish games still played off of discs. But I guess like one of the few benefits that these modern consoles can offer is they can offer like really high resolution textures, because considering how weak their graphics cards are, they have huge like RAM pools. So, I don't know.
Here's a question for you. We talked a little bit about the NX last week with all the rumors and stuff. Do you think the NX is going to have like more than like 500 gigabytes of memory, or like what do you think? Nintendo's never done anything even close to that. Like the Wii U has 32 gigabytes, and that's basically nothing anymore.
As much as I would love for Nintendo to have an option where it's a console where you don't have to install like tens of gigabytes of data.
I think that's gonna. I
I
think
think
that's
they
just
have
where
to
we
do
are.
it. I
Yeah,
I I feel like
they could do that thing that they rumored a while back where they go back to cartridges, which would be awesome. Flash-based cartridges.
no, no. I don't think they can do it. Well, oh, because you mean with the cartridges, you could have the quick
Yeah,
load times and like
yeah.
the
Quick
big
load
games.
times. They're cheaper to produce at this point. They didn't used to be, but they are now because flash memory is getting so cheap. So, I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know a whole lot about the tech industry, but I read a thing a while back that said like they were like there was a patent for like cartridge based system. There was a cartridge based system design or something. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do that.
I think it's an
That'd be great.
option. But if they have if memory is like a limitation because they choose to go with a disk that can stream data, it's going to be a disaster. It's just going to be another thing that holds them back in the generation. And that's the last thing Nintendo needs right now. They need something that
Yeah.
isn't holding any third party publisher or developer back. So Yeah, if you're asking if Nintendo has to do it too, and it sucks, but that's just the nature of the industry right now, and shame on all you consumers that have brought this torture upon me.
So real quick, back to Halo. I was doing a little research this morning because all the reviews came out for Halo 5 today. It was street. It
Yes,
was
all of them did.
yeah, like that was the date when all the reviews were allowed to be published. They were no longer embargoed. And I was looking at Metacritic just for a little bit of history on the franchise, and what I found was very interesting. I saw that since the beginning, since the first Halo game came out on Xbox back in 2001 and received a 97 out of 100 on Metacritic. Now, of course, Metacritic aggregate review scores just combines everything into one big average. 97 for Halo, 95 for Halo 2, 94 for Halo 3, 87 for Halo 4, 85 right now as of this recording for Halo 5. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean people are getting jaded, or does that mean the series is legitimately getting worse and becoming more average?
You know, that's a great question, and I feel like after Halo 3, they really changed the direction of Halo, and they really tried to start making,
As they
especially the
probably should have.
multiplayer. This,
Halo was supposed to be a trilogy, right? Originally, and then
yes,
they just like it's too much money, we can't stop.
yeah.
So,
So they really changed the direction of it and sort of started going in the direction of like Call of Duty and making the online gameplay more like Call of Duty and the single player gameplay more scripted and less open. And
gross.
one of the things that like I really remember about Halo 3 especially, Halo 3 did this best I feel like, but Halo 3 had really good open worlds. And um I would say even though like I got in on it a little bit late, the multiplayer also seems like the best refinement of what was there in Halo 1 and 2 to me. So I think part of it going down is just because it's not new anymore.
It's no longer a revolutionary thing every time a new Halo game comes out. I mean,
Yes.
people are still excited. Pre-order numbers are way down for this game, though.
And I believe that. I would say that like one of the bad things about the series right now is because of the expanded universe, which I love the expanded universe. I enjoy it a lot. But unlike the Star Wars expanded universe, which
I
is
was
like
gonna compare it to
extremely
Star Wars.
which is extremely optional, you don't have to read any of that Star Wars expanded universe stuff in order to sort of get what's going on in the movies.
Well, and
On
not only that, and I know exactly where you're gonna go with this, and sorry to interrupt, but not only that, but Disney has also gone and said that none of that stuff is canon anymore.
Yes.
So it literally doesn't matter. But with Halo, and this is the direction I'm assuming you're going,
With Halo,
everything.
it is becoming more and more important. And like, so I talked about Halo 4 and Halo 4, how I didn't even understand what was going on in the game like halfway through. And that was partly because they chose to tell a lot of the backstory of major parts of like the cutscene story through like secrets that you had to find in the game. So like if you only found a couple of the secrets, you were just getting this patchwork of what the story was about. And that's
Which
just
is kind of cool. I mean, you can see what they're going for, but
you can see
doesn't
what they're
necessarily
going
work.
for. I think a little bit of background like helps, but you need to have enough just through the presentation of the game that it's good. And one of my concerns with Halo 5, especially looking at the reviews, the preliminary reviews that are coming out, is they're saying that the campaign story is sort of extremely lackluster, and that concerns me a lot.
Well, we knew from the beginning, or at least from E3 this year, based on what we saw, they were going to put a lot into the multiplayer. I mean, we watched this
Oh yeah.
press conference together, Piddle. I mean, we saw what they were doing.
Yep.
And I mean, it was cool, and the game still looks really good. But I think we knew from the beginning the focus was not going to be on the campaign, which is another direction that games are taking that I'm not a big fan of.
I think that they do put a lot of focus on this campaign just because, I mean, Halo has more books than like any other game series out there practically. If there are any series that have more, if there's any other game series that has more books out than Halo, please like let me know because
I don't know, man. When I was in school, I read those Pokemon like Scholastic chapter books every frickin' week when they would come to the library.
Do those count?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, like, I'm talking like legitimate novels. And Halo has a lot of that, and Halo has graphic novels, and it has animated movies and like little mini series, and it had last year it had Halo Nightfall, which was a live action little mini season of shows that gave a
I
little
mean,
backstory on one of the new characters.
why do you have to play the games and read the books and watch the shows and see the movies and like, you know, look at the lithograms and just why do you have to do all this stuff?
And that's
to
the
just
issue.
get the story from a game. Like it should just be contained within the game. And I love the idea that they are willing to expand and try other forms of media, but that should not be necessary.
Exactly.
At all. It should be like Metroid Prime's story. It's like if you want to experience it, you can, but it's not really that important.
And that was sort of one like some of the good things about the first few books that they came out with. Like some of the first books that they came out with really just retold what happened in the games, just with a little bit more detail. One of the good ones was The Fall of Reach, which just gave backstory on who the Master Chief was and like the events that led up to the first Halo game. And like that stuff is like, I feel like that's fine. That's totally worth having in a book series because you can't really put it in a game. And I feel like you can tell other stories about, I mean, I guess like you could tell other stories about other Spartans, which they've done in the books, that aren't Master Chief. So when you start having too much stuff that like, because right now with the new Halo 5 game is they're pretty much taking all these characters from all different sources. So like now Master Chief has an entire squad, and his squad is 3 characters that are other Spartans. And I think it's fine to introduce them right away as long as you're able to give the backstory for them. But it's not just his 3 teammates that are in this game now. It's also 4 other like brand new Spartans. You have like Locke, you have
Spartan Locke, and yeah, and basically the whole sense I'm getting from this conversation, and even the conversation itself, it's too bloated. Everything is bloated. It's too big, and they need to just pare it down.
Yes.
It's almost becoming more inaccessible than anything.
Exactly. And so
the thing that worries me most of all is that eventually this franchise is going to become so bad in that department that it's going to need a reboot. And reboots are no fun.
No, reboots aren't good.
No. I mean, they can sometimes produce really good games like Tomb Raider, but sometimes the franchise can never recover. I mean, look at Sonic.
Yeah.
They've rebooted that franchise 100 frickin' times. And, you know, I mean, we've seen how that's gone. But
so what I feel like they need to do at this point is they really need new leadership in terms of who is sort of controlling and filtering what happens with the story and what happens in the games, because right now it's getting out of hand, and it needs to get brought under control. Sort of like,
speaking of which,
if you look at if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel has like had a lot of control over what is happening in those movies. Like they're trying to make it as big as they can, but at the same time they're trying to keep it under control, and they're trying to keep it as close to a vision and keep an overarching plot as possible.
Right. But we need to move on.
Yes, we do.
Yes. I just want to briefly touch on this. We don't really have a segue for this, but that's okay. This is actually a question that was asked a couple episodes ago by EW Network, or whatever, formerly known as James Razzie Games. We miss your old name because I don't know how to pronounce your new one. But there was a question for the doctors, and we were on vacation or golfing or something, so we didn't have time to answer it. But here's the question. I have a problem of buying games just because it's the only way to get an amiibo. I bought Chibi Robo Ziplash just for the amiibo. I pre-ordered Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival so I can get Isabelle, Digby, and the 3 exclusive amiibo cards. And I even bought Skylanders Superchargers Racing on the Wii. Yes, the Wii, not the Wii U, just so I could get the Dark Hammer Slam Bowser amiibo. Is there something I should do differently, or is this my only fate as an amiibo collector? Now,
You can't answer this.
Well, I feel like I'm a little more qualified to answer because I am an amiibo collector. But what's your thoughts on this? What do you think about amiibo collecting in general?
I have avoided it altogether.
Good for you,
I've
by the way.
I have one amiibo,
I
and
don't know how you can resist it, man.
it's it's an amiibo I got as a gift,
What is it?
and it's my favorite character. It's Luigi,
Okay.
so I've kept it just to Luigi, and I haven't gone beyond that. Even though I sort of really want to, I I can't do it.
Consider this. I have over 50 amiibos. They cost over $10 a piece. There's
Wow.
your reason to not buy amiibo, because I could have gotten a PS4 in a game.
But I bet your shelves look pretty cool.
They do look very cool. I'm looking at them right now. It's a really good setup. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and
Um,
so I feel like if I were to collect, I would probably only stick to like a single series, and I don't think I would
I
get
mean
duplicates. Like,
that's mostly what I'm doing. I mostly just said, you know what, I'm just gonna get Smash Brothers because that would encompass most of Nintendo's most popular characters. I don't
yes,
need Isabelle. I don't need Digby. I don't even know what Digby is. What is that? I don't.
no idea.
I love Animal Crossing. I don't know what Digby is.
But like
So
for example, if I had one Mario, I'm not going to go and get another Mario.
right,
Um, if I had one Yoshi, I would definitely not get a second Yoshi. And I feel
get
like,
the Yarn Yoshi though.
uh, who cares?
The
Go
the Yarn Yoshi is
go
so cool.
go on
I
Etsy
think
and
everyone should get
find
that one.
go on Etsy
No,
and find like a real Yarn Yoshi.
no,
I'm sure it's
get
out
the
there.
no, get the Amiibo Yarn Yoshi. It's well worth your money,
Oh.
and it works with Yoshi's Woolly World, which, by the way, I played a little bit of. I haven't finished it yet because I'm waiting to play the whole thing with my wife. But it's so charming and so fun. I love it. It's just like Yoshi's Island, but
Huh.
it's got that whole aesthetic to it. It's nice. Um, but so what is this question? What are we answering? Is there something I should do differently? Yeah, there's something you should do differently. Stop buying these horrible amiibos. Why the hell are you buying Skylanders?
Can
What's
you really
wrong with
say
you?
this?
That's another horrible. I didn't buy Dark Hammer Slam Bowser. I'm not buying Amiibo Festival. I bought Chibi Robo Ziplash, but I sold the game right back. I just wanted the Amiibo. The game isn't good at all. I played that too. It's not good, unfortunately. But so yeah, what you should do differently is sell all your Amiibo and then go buy games and then don't play those because you have too many games.
Yeah.
And that's my life.
I mean, actually, I don't think it's too bad to have a collection.
It's not bad to have a collection, but it's bad to be obsessive to the point where you're buying Wii games just to
Yeah.
get Amiibo
If-
that aren't even Amiibo.
If you're buying games just to get the exclusive amiibos, like you need to stop. Buy the games on the merits of the game. That's that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, most of these games that come packaged with Amiibo, with the exception of Yoshi's Woolly World, don't appear to have any merit at all, such as Chibi Robo Ziplash, which is a terrible game. It was. Can I regale you with my tale of playing Chibi Robo for a minute here?
Sure.
So Chibi Robo is a franchise for Nintendo that has never gained any traction at all, despite having several releases on several different consoles. And that might just be because it's just not a very good franchise. The first game was pretty good. I really liked that one on GameCube. It was not for everybody. I found it charming and fun, but most people did not. And then the rest of them are just kind of like throwaway waste of time. But Chibi Robo Ziplash takes the cake of all of them, pretending it is masquerading as a platformer, but really all it is just you run around and you just do the same thing over and over again, and there's really not that much challenge to it, and it's not interesting, and it's slow, and it's sluggish, and you just want the stages to be over because they're not designed in a particularly interesting way, and it's just dull and boring, and I'd rather play New Super Mario Bros. 2. So that tells you all you need to know about that.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't like that game.
So
So,
pretty
uh,
much just don't buy Chibi Robo for the
Don't buy Chibi Robo
exclusive.
You know, and it's sad because this is probably going to be Chibi Robo's last shot at like becoming a legit franchise, and it's not going to happen.
You know what?
'Cause
I'm okay with that.
Nintendo pretty much said it. They were like, if Chibi Robo doesn't do that well this time around, like we're not going to make another one because what's the point? And it's not doing well, and nobody's buying it, and that's it. And you're just going to have one solid Chibi Robo game on GameCube that nobody played, and that's it. That's your franchise. So
Yep, I'm okay with that. You know what
Yeah.
franchise they can bring back instead? They can bring
Metroid,
back.
F-Zero, legitimate franchises. Zelda, which we haven't had a new game in 4 years now.
Actually, oddly, I was thinking Mario Strikers Charged.
Yeah, they should absolutely bring that back. You know,
Cause my God, that game was so amazingly good.
so
I
we
think I
mentioned
like it
that.
more than Mario Kart. Like when I played it,
Wow, have you played it recently?
I don't even. I think it's down. I think they shut down
Well,
the server for it like a few years
no, I
ago.
mean not online. I mean just in general.
I have not played it recently.
Well, I mean, because I know we talked about it when I was doing my top 50 games like way earlier, and how much fun we had with that game, and it is really good. And I thought Nintendo missed a big opportunity to bring it back for the World Cup last year. They could have really capitalized on soccer's popularity in the United
Yes,
States with a Mario soccer game, and they didn't
yes.
do it.
They could
And
have
maybe they'll
done
do it.
Mario and Sonic World Cup.
Oh man, and maybe they'll do it in 2018, but I don't know.
Charged. Oh my
I
gosh,
would
that would be
love.
so good. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah. Sign me up for that.
All right.
Let's move on. So since this is the Halloween episode, we already kind of scared you a little bit, but do you want to talk about like Halloween as an adult, because most of our listeners are not quite adults yet, right? So I mean, do you want to tell them what it's like being an adult at Halloween? Because I have some stories.
You might have more stories than I do. For me, it's mostly just been I occasionally dress up, but not really. You really only dress up if you're going to go to a party.
I have been such a bah humbug type guy around the holidays recently. I want nothing to do with Halloween. I'm irritated by the fact that it exists,
And
because
if you don't do a party, then you're, sitting at home dishing out candy to kids. So,
well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't particularly care for kids. I find them irritating and dirty, and they like mobile games and Call of Duty. So I'm not interested in that. I don't want to hang out with those people. So, like, if I see kids showing up to my door this year as like Templars or, something else I don't recognize, and they're like, give me candy, I'm like, you know what I did last year? I actually, I some people are really lazy and they just leave a bowl of candy on the doorstep, and it just says like take one, and like the kids will come by and
they'll take
one
like
kid
five.
they'll take like all of it. Last year I went a step further, and I put an empty bowl out there with a sign that said take one, and it was great. No kids knocked on my door all night. It was just like,
Wow.
I even had
this
the-
is
I even
probably
had
one
the-
of the worst stories. You're a horrible person.
I am a horrible person. And you know what? And I was told this year I'm actually working on Halloween night. And I was like, yes, this is awesome. There's not going to be any kids coming into my store on Halloween night. They're all trick-or-treating or whatever. And then someone who used to work at the store told me, well, you better have candy ready for the ones who do come in. And I'm like, why? Are they dressed up? I'm not giving candy to kids that aren't dressed up. That's bull crap. But apparently, you do have to be prepared for that situation. So I just can't escape it. I can't escape the children. It's like there's like a sea of kids and I'm drowning. And,
Hey, at least
ugh.
on Halloween, you can suggest all the inappropriate rated M
That's
scary
true.
games as possible to little kids. You
The
can
only
just be like,
problem-
oh, hey, you know what you should play? You should play this game, and just give them a copy of Dead Space.
Yeah, you should. Hey, if I worked at a movie store, hey kids, check out this copy of Hostel 2. Or here's Saw 3 for you. Just enjoy that. Enjoy that. And then, yeah. Anyway, I'm also playing Resident Evil 4 as my Halloween tradition. That's about as scary as I get around this time of year.
All right.
Have we talked about Resident Evil 4? Like, we could talk about this in the 52-52 segment that we're about to do.
Yes, we will, because we
Okay.
have a lot to talk about still.
Yeah, we're moving at a pretty good pace, though. We got like over half an hour left to talk about this stuff. We didn't beat a lot of games this week, unfortunately.
All right, so last week, we actually both...
You beat like 100 games last week.
Yeah.
I beat nothing, but I was actually on my way to beating a game, and like the day we recorded, I was almost done with the game, and that was Ocarina of Time 3D on 3DS. Hey, I have news for you people. It's still amazing. Like, how many years? 17 years later, the game still holds up, and it's great.
It is. It's a great game.
It's just you can't even talk about Ocarina of Time 3D because it's just like, or Ocarina of Time, because it's just like, it's understood that the game is amazing. If you haven't played it, like, what are you doing? Like, it is the definition of a classic. You have to play it. It's like, is this on our gaming bucket list? Because this should have been the start of it. I don't think it is.
We need to put it on there.
Can I just straight up add it to the bucket list right now?
Yes.
I'm doing it. I'm going off script. I'm adding Ocarina of Time to the official Effortless bucket list.
I love it. I love it.
I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. Just go play it. I give it a 5 out of 5, by the way.
I wonder how many of those Halloween kids are going to be able to play Ocarina of Time now.
None
Now
of
that
them,
they have
because
their
none of them.
instant satisfaction mobile games that they play. Like, quite literally, I've seen kids play a mobile game and then, like, 10 seconds later, they shut it down and they open up another mobile game and then, like, they play that. So, like, whatever, it'll be Angry Birds and they'll play that for 10 seconds and then, oh, no, I'm sick of that. I'm going to play um, Candy Crush, and then they play that for, like, 10 seconds. They like, don't even
Are
play it
we
for a minute.
are
And
we lamenting the death of the attention span? Because this is a legitimate topic, and I
this
feel like,
is, yeah.
yeah. I mean, even this show is even guilty of it. We haven't stayed on a topic for more than 5 minutes today, but still.
No, and I just went completely off script again, but
Yeah, no, but I'm curious to hear where you were going with that.
I'm just amazed. Like, I don't. They've talked about how like Konami is like getting out of console gaming because they say it's like not growing and mobile
Oh,
gaming is growing.
I have
And
to change the subject again because did we talked about that story how Konami said that we didn't fire Kojima, he's just on a long vacation.
yes, oh my
That's
gosh,
hilarious. That is oh man. It's like they don't even understand like what's going on. They're completely under a rock, that company. They don't know what's going on.
they just. I don't know. They like want people to love them as long as possible because
But anyway,
because they realize as soon as Kojima's gone that they have nothing, and so they're just like no, he's still here. We're still paying him.
he's still on payroll.
Yeah, he's still on payroll. He's just a vacation because they realize that once Kojima's gone, like they're gonna be like irrelevant to so many gamers.
In 100 years after Kojima's already dead, they're gonna be like, no, he's still like we're just we
Kojima's
hired a
alive.
we hired a psychic medium to contact him from beyond the grave. Don't worry, he's still on payroll. He's still with the company. So they're paying his family
Oh.
at that point. Oh man.
But yeah, attention
So what were you
span
saying?
has disappeared.
Yeah. Speaking
It-
of attention
yeah.
span,
Attention span completely disappeared. The whole like instant gratification thing. It's it's bad, and like you can even see it in games a lot because now games there has to be instant gratification in a lot of things. And I feel like that's always sort of been a little bit of a part of gaming, especially with the popular games, like Final Fantasy VII, which a lot of people say hasn't aged well. I'm gonna actually say that the materia system that they used in Final Fantasy VII was brilliant because once you got into the game, you could hardly ever go through a battle without leveling up something. You'd either level up somebody's materia or you'd level up the character themselves. It like became
absolutely.
impossible to not level up something. So there was like a degree of instant satisfaction because
even when you were grinding, it felt like you were making progress.
yes, like
Yeah.
that you were always making progress because something always leveled up. It wasn't just
And I feel the same way when you play like a Xenoblade Chronicles, because even though it takes forever and you have to fight a lot of monsters to move up, you still get like drops every single time, and it's always items that you need to forge new weapons and stuff like that.
exactly. So yeah, I don't know though. Like the delayed attention span, or delayed satisfaction, it's just not there anymore.
Yeah, poor games, man. Whatever happened to the good old days, right? Am I right? Old man
You are
Piddle.
right. You are right. Yeah. So next thing,
This show's
speaking
going
about
nowhere.
instant gratification, because this is one of the reasons that I'm gonna sort of knock this game down a few pegs in my score.
Oh,
for
so
it.
that was a good segue. You just jumped right back into the 52-52. I like it.
Is this last week? Well, first of all, let me just say, I am officially caught up.
Yeah, you did it.
So I don't know how it happened, but I am officially caught up. I'm sort of happy about that. But the first game that I beat this week was a PC game that actually recently came out on PlayStation 4, and that is called The Vanishing of Ethan and Carter. And to give you a little backstory about this game, it's a first-person game, which most computer games are nowadays. But it's a first-person sort of detective game. You sort of piece together a bunch of puzzles, or I don't know if you could say like crime scenes, I guess you could say, and they're little short stories that are written by a young boy, and you don't really know if like the stories are real, like if it actually happened or not. all the stories, like they're just incredibly gruesome. Like something is going on with these stories because you keep hearing about this like this.
Is it a spooky game?
It's not really that scary. There is a moment in the game later where there are some jump scares, but it's only one part of the game, and it's like one puzzle of the game. And my issue with the game is actually that it gave like no direction on how to play it.
One of the things,
and like how to like solve these mysteries. And it like it did have little hints in terms of like you would find a clue, and that clue would sort of help guide you to where like another clue would be, but it doesn't actually tell you that like, hey, like this is how you can figure out like that this clue is going to lead to another clue. It doesn't actually specifically tell you that. And when I played it, I actually, like the very beginning, you start on like a train track or a tunnel that's like on a train track. And so, being so used to games, I just continue to walk down the train tracks. And I completely bypassed the first puzzle of the game because I needed to go off the train tracks and like into the woods in order to find the first puzzles. Or like the first clues to the first puzzle. So like I completely walked past it and I had to like backtrack.
So your gaming sensibilities did not prepare you for this game.
Yeah.
Even though that's sort of the point, is that it's not handholdy. That's one of the things I read in the review that I read before doing the show, is that like this game does not hold your hand. It does not make excuses. It's just like, go do the thing. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even tell you what the thing is most of the time.
So maybe you can like say it's my fault that I wasn't prepared for it, but like the stories are really interesting. It's the gameplay, like when you do know what's going on, it's rewarding when you do figure out something.
Yeah.
And one of the big things is like it just looks absolutely gorgeous.
And you played it on PC?
I played it on PC, but my PC is starting to show its age now. And I still was able to play it at very close to the like highest settings
at
like a 30 frames per second frame rate, which is, I mean, totally fine. Like I locked it at 30 frames and it ran like that. It didn't drop below 30 except for like a couple times.
Could your PC run the NX Tech demo?
I doubt it.
Could it run Batman Arkham Knight on PC?
So I don't know if it could.
Probably not.
It had a lot of issues with Arkham City, so I chose not to get Arkham Knight. I actually have, if any of the listeners are wondering.
That was actually a joke because Arkham Knight on PC is completely broken.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, actually, it's going to come out the 28th, I believe. So
wait, really? They're re-releasing it?
They're re-releasing it on the 28th.
I had no idea.
And my understanding is that like after the last patch, for the people that could like try it out, worked much better.
Huh.
So
well,
yeah.
Anyway. So what do you give Ethan Carter? We gotta move on a little bit.
Oh yeah,
here.
we do. So yeah, it's a gorgeous game. And just if you're gonna play it, you need to be prepared to know that like it doesn't hold your hand. And I will give you one hint, and that is when you look at an object and it starts showing like the same word, but like I don't know how you'd say it. Like it shows the same word just like all over the place, and it's sort of like there's multiple copies of that word sort of floating in the air. If you look around, those multiple copies of the word will merge together into just one copy of that word. And that's the direction you need to go in order to find the next clue. And so that's my biggest hint, because I could not figure that out until I was like halfway through the game, and it was really frustrating. So that said...
So you do one more here quickly. I'll do mine.
Oh, sorry. My score for Vanishing of Ethan Carter is going to be a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
So it's good, but I don't think it's really great.
So go ahead and do your next one, and then I'll get to mine.
Okay, so next game I played was a PC exclusive, and it came out like about 4 years ago, and that game is Hard Reset. And this is
Mr. Resetty's favorite game from Animal Crossing.
This is probably going to be the most obscure game that I'm going to actually play and review during 52 out of 52.
Well, shoot, man, I haven't heard of half these games you've been playing. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. I don't know what that is. All these games.
Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons actually just came out on iOS, I believe.
Okay, I don't have an iOS device.
And it doesn't run very well.
Because my wife lost my iOS device.
Oh, man. So Hard
Oops.
Reset is a sort of like a modern take on the classic first-person shooter where it's very challenging. It's very like unforgiving. You have to pick up your health drops. And because of that, I didn't actually play it on a very difficult level. I played it on a pretty simple level. Or actually, I played it on the easiest difficulty, which is not something I normally do. And that's because I sort of just wanted to get through the game and beat it so that I could knock it off my backlog and get it off of my unbeaten games list on Steam.
And this game is balls, right? Like, it's not good.
It is. Here's what I will say. I would say, like, if you were a huge fan of, like, Doom, and, like...
Doom's got great music.
Yeah, and games similar to Doom, and you'd like to see a modern take on it, it does have great graphics. I'll admit that. It like runs on its like very own like proprietary engine. The lighting for it is pretty fantastic. It's just the enemies, there's very little variety to them. Like there's some boss battles, and the boss battles feel like such a breath of fresh air because they're so different than the rest of the enemies that you fight in the game. And one of the other annoying parts about the enemies in the game is they're faster than you are. So
like Pac-Man.
yeah. So
that's
like
the best comparison I can think of.
So there's like several enemies where like you'll try to strafe to the right or the left and avoid them as they like charge at you, but you can't strafe fast enough because they run at you too quick for you to like go side to side. So like the movement is too slow for the gameplay, I felt like. And because of that, just felt, I don't know, a little bit, it didn't feel like properly balanced to me. But it does have some interesting weapons. You have like two weapon types, or you have two weapons. One's like a plasma weapon, one's like a ballistic weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And you can transform your weapons into like 5 different varieties. So you actually have 10 weapons total. Enemies have certain weak points, so you either use one weapon or the other to fight the enemies. You, like, again, if you're into that hardcore PC shooter kind of thing, it's tough to like quickly change from one weapon type to the other weapon type and take out enemies based off of their weaknesses. So if you like those games, it might be worth checking out. Otherwise, I would say just don't. If you've heard of Hard Reset or ever had your eye on it, don't get it. So I give it a 2 out of 5.
Huh. That's not good. Not good at all. But oh well, it's time to move on to some good games. Apart from our top 50, both Piddle and I both have 2 very, very good games left. First of all, after finishing Ocarina of Time 3D, I'm like, I gotta have more. So I just did the thing that I usually do, and I just played Majora's Mask 3D. And it's earlier in the year when it first came out, I was displeased by a number of the changes they made in terms of like how they made it easier and how they streamlined certain things, because it didn't feel like the original to me. But on this second playthrough, I was dumbfounded by how much all of that stuff didn't matter to me anymore. I was playing Majora's Mask. There were some changes, but I was totally cool with it. The only thing that still sucks is the Zora swimming. It's not good. But Majora's Mask is an absolute masterpiece. I have no problem gushing about it for hours, but unfortunately, we can't do that. Also, people are knocking on my door, so that's what that was. I'm not going to answer it. I'll let them just... You know what? That might be my package from JJ Games with my NFL 2K5 in it.
Oh, man. Actually, can you please go check right now?
I don't want to do the Danganronpa thing again. Oh, maybe I will.
Please go check right now.
All right, I'm gonna leave the mic on. We're gonna see what happens here. I'm gonna move this stuff here real quick. Excuse me. Hold on. All right, you know what? No, this was actually a package from GameStop that I ordered. I went into GameStop the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I've got money, and they actually sell retro games. I don't know if you knew that. They sell games like on N64 and stuff.
Oh, wow.
I'm now opening it. And I bought some N64 games. If I can open the package, let's see what we got here.
Live reaction.
This is
Spiegel
the
getting
second.
new
This is the
Nintendo
second
64
show in a
games.
row I've gotten a package on the air. This is quite exciting. Maybe this should be a thing now. We're gonna call it the Spiegel opens package during show segment. Oh my gosh, I can't open it.
Man, I should have saved my package.
Here we go. Gonna pop the shipping bubbles, because that's always fun. Oh, they're both here. Both games are here. Wrapped in individual Ziploc bags, we have Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, and Resident Evil 2, both on Nintendo 64. This is exciting. 2 new games to add to my backlog. Great. Number one thing I needed. Anyway.
And you only played 2 games this week.
Yeah.
That
great.
you've already played before.
Yes. They were replays. However, Majora's Mask is also a 5. Unfortunately, we just wasted a lot of time there, so I don't have much more time to talk about it, but that's okay. No one wants to hear that anyway. Majora's Mask 3D is so freaking good. I can't even believe it. It's just like it's just wonderful.
It is
in
a
every
wonderful
sense of the
game.
word.
I
Yeah.
really like how much depth there is to it. And I think that's
yeah.
like the one word that best describes Majora's Mask.
Deep.
Just depth.
Or depth. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's a game unlike probably people always say it's unlike any other Zelda. It's unlike many other games that I've ever played.
There is no game like Majora's Mask.
I can't think of one.
Yeah, there's no game like it.
There's so many metaphors that you can argue are part of the story. You know, this idea that like there's this man-child character and all this stuff. I feel like every week I get an opportunity to talk about Majora's Mask, and every week I go too far, and it's like we have to stop. Okay, we really do have to stop, though, because we only have like 15, 20 minutes to do the rest
Exactly.
of this. All right,
So
go ahead. 5 out of 5. It's great. Go play it.
My third game, which actually puts me ahead of schedule on our 52 of 52, so it feels really good.
Very good.
And this is sort of a replay, sort of not.
Oh, man, I really wish we had more time to talk about this, because you had an epic finish to this game.
Oh, yes, I did. Oh, man, can we please talk
following,
about that?
Maybe if we have time. So following in my footsteps, I played Pokemon Leaf Green the other week, and you played
Pokemon
the
Fire
other
Red.
one. Yes.
I don't remember what motivated me to play Pokemon again. Oh, I remember. So
Me talking about it.
on, I think it's Sporkle.com, there is a quiz for how many of the original 151 Pokemon you can name.
Ooh, I might take that one. I bet I'd get all of them.
And we'll throw it into the
You'll throw it into the description.
yeah. It'll be in the description, so you should
You
take a
keep
look
giving
at
me
it.
all this work to do. I don't think so.
Hey, you want to take it too. So it'll be in the description. Take a look at it. Try your luck at it. The first time I did it, I got 95 out of
Wow.
151. And it's been a long time since I played Pokemon. So I was like, you know what? That's not good enough. Like, I figured I'd get at least 100. So I decided to play Pokemon Fire Red. And I've never actually beaten Fire Red. I had Leaf Green for a while and I lost it. So whatever, I got Fire Red, I played it, and I still think that Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, whatever yellow you want to call it, is a fantastic game.
Now, that
And-
opinion is wrong, but we can discuss that on a later time when we have more time.
It's not wrong at all, because what
you
makes
know what?
it so
You know
beautiful
what?
is it's
table
very...
Table that for next week. I want to talk about that next week when we have time.
all right.
Why Pokemon isn't as good as you remember?
No, it's still amazing. And that's because it is one of the things that I don't like about RPGs is when they get too complicated for their own good. And Pokemon is not like that. Pokemon is very simple when it starts off. Like, you have one Pokemon. The first like several enemies you come across they're like all the same. So it's not like throwing too much at you too quickly. You gradually learn new moves. You gradually learn about like the weaknesses and the strengths and everything like that. They actually do a good job of like early in the game making sure you don't fight too many Pokemon that have like weaknesses or strengths. It's not really until you get into I would say Viridian Forest that you finally encounter weaknesses or strengths, depending on who your starter Pokemon is. And from there, it just develops gradually. You end up getting more Pokemon, you encounter more Pokemon, you start finding out, like eventually later in the game, you find out about like the legendary Pokemon or the legendary birds. Even you find out about, you read about Mewtwo while you're at Cinnabar Island. And
Whoa, spoiler alert.
oh, come on. We all know who Mewtwo is by now.
No, we don't.
And so I think just the way it starts simple and it doesn't throw too much at you too quickly. It just throws just enough at you. And like even beyond that, like after you beat the games, and with Fire Red and Leaf Green, there's even more to do. But like you can find out about like the EV training. If you're playing the original Red Blue, you have the item glitches, and Missing No, which, you know, I don't think Missing No is in Fire Red Leaf Green, is it?
No.
It should be, just because. You would think that they would actually include Missing No.
One of my favorite things about the Pokemon series as a whole is how simple it appears on the surface, and how
Yes.
simple it really is on the surface, but how deep it is underneath. And that is something obviously that you did not care for in the newer Pokemon games, but again, we can talk about that next
Yeah.
week.
So I'm going to try to make this quick because I sort of want to talk about what happened at the end of the game for me.
Yes,
So
we need to do that. That's more important than anything.
I got through about like the 5th gym leader, and after the 5th gym leader, there's 8 gym leaders, by the way. I sort of started to get sick of it, which is sort of funny because
of the score you gave the game,
yes,
which
because
let's
of
go
the
ahead and
score I
spoil
gave
it.
But
You
like,
gave it a 5,
I was
right?
getting sort of sick of it because it's just I've played Pokemon in Red and Blue so much throughout my lifetime that it just like I needed to be done. I need to be done with the game. So I just sort of like blasted through the end of the game. I used repels to avoid any random battles I could for pretty much as soon as I left Fuchsia City. I used repels all the time,
I wish I could use repels on people in real life.
right? But would they
Go
be lower
away.
level than you or higher
Actually,
level than you?
there
Because
is
if they're
something-
higher
there-
level than you, you cannot avoid the fight.
There is something that you can use on people in real life that's like repels that makes them go away. It's called pepper spray. Or you could just have really bad BO. Both work. I think.
That works too.
Yeah.
But bad hygiene doesn't sound too appealing.
Yeah, just carry the pepper spray.
So, by the time I got to the Elite Four, I had a full team of 6. But they
Go
were
ahead and
all.
read them off. Read them off.
I had a man. I don't even know how to pronounce some of their names.
Okay,
But-
I'll read. You had a Snorlax, a Jolteon, an Arcanine. Or wait, you had an Arcanine, right?
Yep, I did.
And you had a Venusaur, right?
Yep,
What else did you have? I can't remember.
the
Gyarados.
Gyarados,
And what was the last one?
Nidoking.
Nidoking. Okay.
Yep. And most of them were between level 43 and 45.
Which, if you don't know, is dreadfully underleveled. Like the Elite Four is like it's like mid 50s and up.
Yeah, it's mid 50s and higher, and your rival at the end is over 60 for pretty much all of this Pokemon, I believe.
Right.
So yeah, all my Pokemon are in their like low to mid 40s, except for my Snorlax, who's level 50 or 51, I believe it was. And I'm going into the Elite Four. I have very little money too at this point because I spent all my money on repels so that I didn't have to fight any random battles for the last like 2 hours of the game. So here I am, like the Elite Four. I like went into it just to see what it would be like the first 2 fights, and I actually got through the first fight against Lorelei, and then I actually got through the second fight too against Bruno, and at that point I was just completely wiped out. I had used only like 2 revives, but I didn't want to use any more because whatever money, like extra money I made, like I wanted to put towards some more potions. And then the third fight I got stomped right away because I only had 1 Pokemon left and they had like no life left. So after that, I just stocked up on a few more potions, and I didn't really have
Spent
much
the rest
in terms
of your
of
money.
potions.
You were totally broke. You
Yes,
you
I was
spent all your money
completely broke.
on
I was completely
potions.
broke. I think I went into the Elite Four the next time with, I think it was 8 revives, about 10 full restores, and I had 1 max revive, and I think 22 max potions to heal me.
So so just roll through it real quick. Get up to like Lance, and then I actually have your transcript of what you did when you fought the champion.
Oh my god!
I've got it. I've
Goodness.
got it. What you sent me on Facebook. This is great stuff.
Oh my goodness. So pretty much like the first few, like Bruno wasn't too tough, Lauralee wasn't too tough. I did have to use like a couple revives to bring my Pokemon back, and this was ended up being like the big issue is I just ran out of revives. I can't remember who's after Bruno. I can't remember what the trainer's name's. Agatha caused me a lot of problems
With like 5 Gengars or whatever she has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
those
she caused me a lot more problems than I thought. Even just because Snorlax pretty much tanked Agatha because Snorlax was a normal type and could use
Ghost doesn't
Psychic.
hurt normal. Yeah.
Yeah, and Snorlax has immunity to being
Hit by Ghost. Can't be hit by Ghost.
to getting poisoned, and that's one of the
Oh,
big
really?
things. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So that was like the best thing that could have happened to me is actually choosing to have a Snorlax in my crew. Because if I had chosen like an Alakazam, I can guarantee I would have just been screwed at this point. So Snorlax pretty much gets me through Agatha, but like I do have to use a few more potions and revives just because Agatha keeps hitting Snorlax with Confuse Ray, and Snorlax is just an idiot apparently. And when he gets confused, he likes to hurt himself. So
Always one of the big mysteries of the Pokemon games. They're
Yes.
confused. Oh, he attacked himself. Why?
it doesn't make any sense. So
I guess
get
that's
to
why
Lance,
it's called confusion, because you're confused. Why would you ever do that?
and I'll say like Lance,
The
pretty
dragon
much-
type.
Yeah, that dragon type, and the only weakness is ice. So I only had one Pokemon that could really fight Lance. That was set up to fight Lance, and that was my Gyarados.
But you rolled because it was Blizzard, and it's double effective against those
It
Dragonites
is,
and
but
stuff.
you have to consider that my Gyarados is like level 43 or 44
Yeah.
at this point. And Lance's Pokemon are like, I think Lance's highest level Pokemon is a 61 Dragonite, and the rest are like 57 Dragonairs or 59. So like he's like, what, 15 plus levels or around 15 levels ahead of my Gyarados.
Right,
My
right.
Gyarados,
And that's a serious speed disadvantage.
yes, my Gyarados only has one move, and all of Lance's Pokemon have what move?
Hyper Beam.
Hyper Beam, which just destroys anything. So my battle with Lance essentially consisted of me throwing in Pokemon to sacrifice themselves to a Hyper Beam, and then as soon as the Hyper Beam was used, I would throw Gyarados in. Gyarados would use his Blizzard, and then I would pull Gyarados out and throw in another Pokemon.
And let someone take Hyper Beam.
Yeah, so let someone
so
else
funny.
sacrifice themselves. So pretty much that destroyed all of my revives because I had to use so many to
Right,
to
right.
counter the Hyper Beam and use up a lot of my max potions. So by the end of that fight, I had only 3 Pokemon that were that hadn't passed out, and those were, I think it was my Jolteon. Yeah, it was my Jolteon, my Gyarados.
And Snorlax, it looks like.
It wasn't Arcanine.
It was Snorlax, I think, because I'm
Snorlax,
I'm looking at your transcript of the next battle here.
So it wasn't.
Doesn't really matter.
It was Venusaur, I believe. Yeah,
Okay.
Venusaur.
Venusaur.
And,
Close.
yeah, Venusaur. And Snorlax was actually, I only had 1 revive left after the Lance fight. So I had to decide who I was going to revive at the end of that fight because I had the champion ahead of me. And so I chose to revive my Snorlax. So I went to the final battle with severely underleveled Pokemon. And I only had 4 Pokemon to fight against
Okay,
my rivals.
So here we
6.
go.
Yeah,
So
extremely powerful.
at this point, you started sending me the transcript of exactly what transpired in this battle, and this is gold. And as you have noticed, I've been saying the whole episode, let's rush this. We need to get going. We need to move through this so we can get to our top 50. This is so important that I don't even give a crap how much time we spend on it. And yes, we're pushing an hour. And yes, we haven't done top 50 yet, but I don't give a crap because this is gold. This is absolute gold what you've given me here.
Good.
So I'm going to read this. Epic finish. Okay, this is all Piddle because I was at work. Jolteon dominated Pidgeot, no problem. His one strength. Gyarados used Blizzard to one-hit KO Rhydon, looking good so far. Snorlax defeats Alakazam in 2 hits, but is left with almost no health, and then it got tricky. Executor was a total B word. I gave a berry to Gyarados. I have to censor it for the kids. I gave a berry to Gyarados to wake him up from hypnosis, but it was to no avail because Executor needed 4 hits to die. It was a constant battle of using full heals to wake up Gyarados and potions to heal him. 3 hits and he'd die. I also had to use my only ether for Blizzard after it ran out of power points.
Yeah, so like the big thing with this whole fight is like I couldn't revive anybody, so I couldn't let anybody die. And the other thing is, the only item I really had to help me was I had 1 max ether, which I had to use at that point.
And just to be clear, ether gives you more power points.
Yes.
Blizzard has what, 5? 5 power points?
So yeah, you have to consider like I had Blizzard, and Blizzard was like pretty much
See, this
my
is what I'm talking
move.
about. Pokemon is so deep under the surface. Like, this doesn't make any sense to anybody who's listening who's never played Pokemon. But if you have, you know exactly the struggle right now.
Pretty much, I only had 1 trump move against Executor, and that was Gyarados' Blizzard. That was the only attack I could use that would actually do enough damage to Executor, where my rival wasn't going to use a full restore, because that's probably the hardest part of fighting with an underleveled Pokemon, is if any of his Pokemon got on like around 25% or less health, he would use a potion to completely restore them.
Right, which is a serious pain, especially when you're underleveled.
Yes. So
moving forward, you then started running low on potions. I knew I would need them later, so I put Venusaur in. Venusaur leached the power points away from Executor's Giga Drain and Sleep Spore the rest of the way, but almost died in the process. Gyarados comes in at 30% health for Executor and uses Blizzard to finish the job, so you avoided the full restore, right?
Yep, I avoided the full restore.
I managed to heal Jolteon during the Executor fight, so he gets a quick attack to cut Gyarados' health in half. And
here's where I got a little confused,
quick attack,
like
I'm
I
assuming...
had to go back and sort of correct it, like because I went through the whole fight.
Oh, I see here.
Yeah, I went through the whole fight, and like I don't know, I was just like so pumped up on adrenaline that like I couldn't even remember what happened against.
So you sacrificed Venusaur and you healed Gyarados at that time.
Yes.
Then he sent his Charizard in.
Yep.
Let's see. So Gyarados. Okay, so you KO'd Gyarados, his Gyarados, in 2 hits. His first Blizzard took out about a third of Charizard's health. That's your Gyarados, right?
Yep.
Then he was horribly damaged, so you swapped out for Jolteon. Jolteon dies, so you can put a full health Snorlax in, who you restored during the fight with Jolteon, right? Snorlax has to do the heavy work and get Charizard's health to 30% and no further to avoid the full restore. But in the process, Snorlax dies from a critical hit.
Yeah,
so
like
Gyarados,
that was what blew me away. Is like Snorlax, I thought was going to be fine, and then Snorlax just gets completely wiped with a critical hit.
So then Gyarados comes in. He is the last one. You have no potions left. He attacks second because he's too slow, and he only has 2 Blizzards left anyway. So it has to hit, and it does. So Charizard goes down, and it's a team effort with much sacrifice. Best battles ever.
Yeah, pretty much like through the whole thing, especially with Executor and Charizard, it was like a constant battle of me like throwing Pokemon in to like take a hit, healing another Pokemon, and then like somehow trying to find a way to get the Pokemon I needed back into the fight so that they could do their one move that would do enough damage to like significantly hurt my enemy. And the issue with like the Charizard is like I had to use Hydro Pump and for my final move or for any of the moves. And Hydro Pump, if you don't know, I think it only has like a 75 or 80% accuracy rate. So I'm like biting nails because if I miss
it's over.
Yeah, if I miss that Hydro Pump, it's over. Like Gyarados doesn't have enough life left. He's gonna die, and I'm gonna be done. No money, and I'll have to go through the whole fight again. So
What do you score the game?
yeah, actually, ironically, like my impatience with the game and my desire to just be done with it actually ended up making the end of the game.
It led to a more enjoyable experience, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it was
it
more
made the end of the
challenging. It was
game way more enjoyable because it was so hard to actually like somehow pull off a victory against Gary or Blue or whatever you want to call him. So, Pokemon, everything I've said and that fight at the end, I have to give it a 5 out of 5.
yeah, it's a classic game. I gave it a 4 a couple weeks ago when I played it, and it's definitely worthy. Definitely a very very good game. We obviously got different things out of it, but yeah, we need to move on here because
Because we have a top 50 to do.
I'm deeply sorry if that was boring for anybody, but hey, it's your funeral. You chose to listen to this show, so I mean, you knew what you were getting into. This episode's going to be an hour and a half. It's going to be an hour and a half. I'm
Hey,
still having fun.
I was so stoked about that fight that I think I was like feeding off the adrenaline for the next 24 hours because
Oh yeah, I mean, you did so many things in that last 24 hours. You like broke more world records.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
sure.
You,
A top 50 and we're going to have to make this quick.
yes.
Or we can
so
just
how do you
go
want how do you want to
overtime.
do this? Well, how do you want to do this to make it quicker?
Can we do it quicker?
I think I will be able to. I don't have a whole lot to say about a lot of these games.
Okay, let's do 1 minute rundowns.
1 minute rundowns. All right. So we are doing 35 through 31. I'll go ahead and go first just to kind of set the precedent.
All right.
My number 35, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption on Wii. This is the second Metroid Prime game to appear on my list, and here's a hint: it will not be the last. Metroid Prime 3 is a phenomenal game, one of the best games on Wii. I think it might be the highest rated Wii game on my list. Just a brief glance at my list tells me that yes, that is the case. So for me, this is the best Wii game out there. It is just like Metroid Prime 2. Except there are more environments to explore. You don't have to deal with the difficulty of like going back and forth between the dark and the light world. You just go back and forth between the planets. There's backtracking galore. It's fantastic. It's everything that you want out of a Metroid game. And it's so hard to differentiate between the Metroid Prime games
10
because
seconds.
they're all very similar, but they're all very good. And Metroid Prime 3 is challenging. It's fun. It's got a great control scheme that was perfectly suited for the Wii. It definitely belongs on lots of top 50 lists.
All right. So my number 35, great choice by the way, because Metroid Prime 3 is
Well, I know where I know.
so good.
Can we spoil a little bit further?
What?
Well, it's going to be on your list, right?
Oh yeah, it is. You
Yeah.
better believe it. So my number 35 is it was originally a free game and it is called Cave Story, developed by one guy over the course of I think it was 4 or 5 years. Originally came out on the PC, was ported to the Wii, and a few other systems, and they actually
Which
re-released
version do
it.
you have? Which version do you have on your list?
I played the Wii version,
Okay.
just because I like playing with the controller. So, Cave Story, it's a fantastic game. It's sort of an 8-bit style game, has a little bit of a Metroid style, pretty dark story, and it has one of my favorite things: upgradable weapons as you play through the game. And the weapons sort of upgrade as you fight and kill enemies, and if you like get hit, your weapons drop in level, so you don't want to get hit. It's a very skill-based game. It's tough. It has some great platforming. Again, Metroidvania style, so I love Metroidvania. And I can't really say anything else about it because
Well, that's good because you have 10 seconds left.
you just, if you've never tried Cave Story, you know what? I'm going to throw it on. It's going to be on my list or my bucket list. So,
Really?
Yep, I'm going to throw Cave Story on the bucket list. If you
Wow.
haven't played it, you need to try it.
It's $20 at GameStop on the 3DS. Do you think it's worth it on 3DS?
You can just get it on PC for free. So,
I might have to cut that. We'll see.
Yeah.
This is a family-friendly show, so.
all right. So,
Hey,
yep,
nothing
that's
wrong
it.
with little gaming in bed, kids. Let's go my number 34 before it gets any worse. Oh, good. I don't have anything to say about this one because I talked about it 2 weeks ago. Pikmin on GameCube. I actually dropped it before playing it for 52 as a replay. It's gonna drop again. It didn't hold up very well, unfortunately. It's good, really good RTS. There's some good thing. There's still some great things about it. It's still really entertaining and fun. But ultimately, it's a little too shallow at this point. after having played it several times through, it's just there's not really much reason for me to go back to it anymore. I just sort of have the memory, and that's all I really need from this point forward.
All right. My number 34 is also an RTS.
Incidentally, it dropped 17 spots from my list last year.
Ooh.
So big fall. In fact, it's one of my biggest fallers.
So I also I also have an RTS for my number 34, and it is a computer game again, and that is Command and Conquer Red Alert 2, which to me is one of, well, actually pretty much the best real-time strategy game that you can play on the computer. And that is because, unlike StarCraft and all those other games, it is, again, very simple. And this is, this is like a big part of gaming to me. And like, I feel like any game, if it has good game design, it needs to be simple. It needs to be easily accessible to newcomers. Because if it's not, it's not going to hold up. Yeah. And especially for like new gamers, like if you want to play a game and it's really daunting at the beginning, you're done. So Red Alert 2, very simple approach, very simple controls, but you can make it more complicated. It actually has a very, very deep game if you continue to play it. And if you do play it, the servers for it are actually still up. They're community run, but people still play online, and it's a still very satisfying experience to play online. So
I think that's time. I wasn't paying attention, but I think that's it. Okay. 33. This is a game that we've had disagreements on in the past, I believe, and me and actually several other people. If you guys listened to the ZBN podcast where we talked about the Super Mario franchise, I went on a big rant about how underappreciated Super Mario 3D Land is, and I still think that, and it's my number 33. It's the perfect Mario game for me to take on the road. I can play it at work. I just really enjoy it. Some people said it's a little generic. I think it's a really good, tight experience, and it was a flagship title for the 3DS. Really kind of got the ball rolling, and I still feel like it's a gem. And at this point, it's almost an underappreciated gem in the 3DS library. So,
you have
take
anything
that,
more to
doubters.
Say?
No, I mean that's
it.
really it. Like, I mean,
right.
it's a really good game. It's got great 3D Mario gameplay, and that's really all you can ask for out of a Mario game, right?
Yeah, it is a little simple and dumbed down, I think, just because it's portable. But
I think in the beginning it is, but the later levels, oh my gosh, they get so hard. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
All right, so my number 33 is Kirby Superstar Ultra, which is the remake of Kirby Superstar from the Super Nintendo. It's
Josh
on
and
DS,
Todd love that game.
and this game is the best Kirby game by far.
Says the guy who once had Kirby Canvas Curse in like his top 10 or whatever it was.
Yes.
Right?
Kirby Canvas Curse, it just didn't hold up with time as well as I thought it would. So, and it was more of that new kind of thing, but Kirby Superstar Ultra, still a fantastic game to this day if you play it. It has so much depth to it. It actually has it's almost sort of like 10 games in one, even though a lot of the games play very similarly. But if you have ever had any remote interest in Kirby, you owe it to yourself to try Kirby Superstar Ultra. It is the best Kirby experience you can find. And that's pretty much it. Like, I don't know what else to say about it.
Let me ask you this: is it worth playing on Super Nintendo since there is this DS version out there? Should I seek out the DS version instead of the Super Nintendo version?
It is worth playing on Super Nintendo.
Does it really matter which one I get?
It doesn't really matter, but the DS version has a lot more content that just gives just a little bit extra that really elevates it, I believe.
Okay. Number 32. Oh, you'll like mine. Mario Kart Double Dash on GameCube.
Lovely game.
Yeah, fantastic. One of my favorite Mario Karts. Very unique. I never understood why they never brought back the two racing
Because
two racers mechanic. Yeah, I mean, it's my second favorite Mario Kart. Spoiler alert: there's not going to be another one above it except the next one. So those of you who think that Mario Kart 64 is the be-all end-all, I'm here to tell you it is not. Play Double Dash; it's better. Mario Kart 64 is so overrated, by the way. I'm gonna use the rest of my minute talking about that.
Mario Kart 64 is pretty awful, actually.
It's not awful. It's just people have these nostalgia tinted glasses that they just put on, and it's like, oh, that game was amazing. And it's like, well, it was good, it was definitely amazing at the time. It just they've improved so much on the Mario Kart formula. It's like, why would you go back to something that's so simplistic?
Exactly.
Mario Kart Double Dash does everything that 64 did, and I think it does most of it better. I mean, there's nothing in 64 that I would say is inherently better than Double Dash.
All right.
Double Dash adds some strategy to it too, with the two, you get two different items at the same time.
So my number 32 is Ratchet and Clank Future: A Crack in Time for the PlayStation 3.
I recommended that to someone at work the other day, by the way. I thought you'd be proud of me. I'm like, I have a friend who swears by this game. Yeah.
I am very proud of you. And, it's sort of like I just talked about Cave Story and how much I loved how you could sort of upgrade your weapons as you played it. Ratchet and Clank Future: A Crack in Time takes that to the next step. It is just an absolute joy to pick the weapons you like, because there's a ton of weapons in this game, and they all just have a certain style to them. They're very creative with the weapons that are in the Ratchet and Clank series, and I feel like Ratchet and Clank Future really did well with it, was one of the best in it. I'll always love using the Groovatron. The Groovatron is just a weapon that you sort of throw out, and all the enemies on your screen start dancing.
It's kind of like in Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. You can make them do the Thriller dance.
It's just a flash dance, instant flash mob whenever you like. So yeah, weapons are great. The upgrade system is great. The story is actually one of the things that I really liked about A Crack in Time. There's also some sort of time-based puzzles in the game that are very enjoyable to play, especially the first time around. And just the art direction of this universe is spectacular. So Ratchet and Clank Future, Ratchet and Clank Future: Crack in Time, great game.
PS3, right? On PS3? Yep.
Yes.
31. We're almost done. Look at this. We did a pretty good job, I think.
Yeah, we did.
For me, this is the biggest faller for me this year, and I replayed it right before 52. Kingdom Hearts on PlayStation 2 fell 21 spots right out of my top 10 this year. And it's still excellent. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think it kind of suffered from the same thing that Pikmin did, where it's I've played it so many times that it's just okay, let's just get it done with and kind of move past it. But it's basically it's a real-time, fight RPG, Xenoblade style, that type of thing, where you're going around, you're fighting monsters, you're building up your XP. There's a lot of different special moves that you and your Donald Duck and Goofy partners can learn in the game, and it's got some really nice variety in terms of the other characters that are in there. There's a lot of really good classic Disney characters. There's Aladdin, Jack Skellington's in the game, which is pretty BA if you ask me. And yeah, it's just a really enjoyable, tight experience that you would not expect from a game featuring a lot of Disney characters. Disney characters do not usually imply a serious hardcore RPG, but that's what this game is. It's a hardcore RPG.
I wish we had more time, because I don't know, Kingdom Hearts, it was just a game that I couldn't get into, and I really wish I could have.
Well, hold on, let's take a minute. Just take a minute.
Okay.
Why couldn't you get into it?
We're
already over. It doesn't matter at this point.
For me, it was the grind of fighting the same character, the same enemies over and over and over again.
There is a little bit of repetition. I think that definitely hurt it on this playthrough for me. This most recent one I did.
So I just felt like I did so much grinding. I gave up slightly after you run into Cloud.
From Final Fantasy VII,
Hercules world. Yeah,
that's the other thing. There's a lot of Final Fantasy characters in the game too.
Yeah, it's actually really other than that, the direction of the series, I just wish I could get into the series. It's
a freaking nightmare at this point. I'm trying to stay with it, but it's so hard. The Kingdom Hearts 2.8 is coming out soon. I don't even know what that's supposed to be.
It's almost worse than the Halo series, because unlike the Halo series, there's several games in the Kingdom Hearts series that are just not good.
Yeah, you can't even. I mean, I don't want to straight up say that Dream Drop Distance or 358 divided by 2 days or whatever you call it. I can't say they're not good. I've never even played them, but they don't have
Dream Drop Distance, and
they do not have a reputation that makes me want to go, oh, I need to play that next. I own Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5, the remixes on PS3, just for the sake of owning them all in one tight little package. But I just don't have the urgency that I want to go play them. Like, I feel the same way about the Elder Scrolls games. Like, I own them. I don't really have the urgency to go play them right now.
All right.
Maybe one day.
So my number 31. We'll get moving on now.
I only brought up the Elder Scrolls, by the way, just because it was the first game that dropped into my head, not because it's like a specific example or anything. But
All right.
Anyway, go ahead.
My number 31, to wrap it up, is Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quest. And
Diddy's Conquest.
oh my gosh, this game is so good. It's so good. It pretty much takes everything that made Donkey Kong Country great and just does it better.
Oh my gosh, hold on.
is-
I am such an idiot. I had no idea it was called Diddy's Conquest. I thought it was called Diddy Kong's Quest
Nope.
until
Diddy's-
right now. I had no idea. I thought you were joking, or I
Nope,
thought
it's
you
Diddy's
misspoke.
Kong Quest. So
Wow. Well, you learn something new every day, huh?
so it just the level of variety, the music in the game,
Oh yeah.
the way that the difficulty ramps up, and I'm a sucker for like very difficult platformers, but not too difficult, like anything within reason. And Donkey Kong Country 2 just absolutely nailed it on all fronts. It's weird because it's a game that I never expected to get into. I didn't actually even start playing the Donkey Kong Country series until they came out on the Wii Virtual Console. So this is a game that's very high up my list, and I didn't play it until like 2008 or something like that.
Wow.
2009. So that's how well Diddy Kong Country or Donkey Kong Country 2 holds up.
And if you are listening to this show, there will be a song from Diddy's Conquest in the new Space Pirate Radio, which is going to go up later on in the week, I believe.
Oh, I love it.
I just throwing in a quick plug there. This is another Space Pirate Radio hosted by yours truly. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's actually got selections from several different ZBN members, their favorite songs from some of their favorite games. So it's going to be a good one. That's why it's taken so long, because we're trying to get all of our ducks in a row, make sure everyone has their song selected. As for this show, this was episode 20 of Effortless. We did it in about an hour, and well, we're closing in on an hour and 18 minutes or so. So I guess we should probably wrap, huh?
Yeah, we will.
That's too bad. I'm still having fun. One of these, you know what we should do? One of these days we should do a live show where we just go for like 5 hours and people just drop in and out.
That's a good idea.
I don't know how we'd ever pull that off, but if that's an idea you want to see, leave a comment. Actually, leave some questions for the doctors, because we've been bored lately and we don't have a lot. Next week we're gonna do that Pokemon discussion. I think we're planning on it anyway. I'm playing Resident Evil 4. You'll hear about that next week. What are you playing right now?
You know what? I actually got in the mail this week Killzone Mercenary. So I've been trying that, and it is actually really good. Like,
Is
way
it
better.
really?
It's better than I expected. I did not expect to enjoy it at all, but they really did a good job of translating a console experience to a portable. It's sort of it takes into account a lot of the weaknesses.
That was sort of the Vita's calling card when it first
Yeah.
came out. Like, if you remember, like they made the Uncharted, they made Killzone, they made a game called Gravity Rush, which was supposed to be like almost like a console game. Mm-hmm. There's of course Persona 4 Golden, which is like clearly a console game,
But
it's so perfect for a handheld. By the way,
I'm going to tell you what. This week I am going to play Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition.
all right, we can talk about it. We talk about it together. Oh, it's so
For Halloween.
freaking scary. I love it. So,
all right.
Happy freaking Halloween. Hope you enjoyed our scary episode. Scary how long it is, more than anything. So,
Yeah, that's it.
So thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Spiegel. He's Dr. Piddle. He got promoted again. He got his license back. He's now a certified anal rapist, or anal rapist. Arrested Development joke. Thank you. Good night.